Welcome to this week's Changelog, where we go through the changes in Solana week by week. My name is Jacob. I'm joined this week with Jonas, and let's get started. So this past week, we have developer tickets for Breakpoint. So if you are interested in going to Breakpoint this year, which is in Amsterdam, and you're a developer, you can apply for a developer ticket and get them at a pretty good discount compared to other tickets. I believe currently they are $200 per developer ticket. So go apply for it if you're a developer and you want to go to Breakpoint.
Oh, that's definitely a good value. How is decided who's a developer and who's not?
Right. So if you have open source contributions, basically at all, if you are a developer with a GitHub with open source contributions, you can get a developer ticket. If you have any Solana contributions, you will automatically also get a developer ticket. So basically, if you're a developer, whether or not you develop on Solana, on even Web3, you can get a ticket to Breakpoint at a pretty steep discount.
Hey, amazing. Can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited. Moving on to other news. So this week, Metaplex announced that they will be making their program immutable over the course of 18-ish months. They have a plan that you can read through on Twitter. It has a bunch of information on like what the implications are, and some more information of like what changes that they are making on the program.
And they also introduced some fees, right?
Yeah, there's a few different fees. Definitely go check it out. You can join the discussion on Twitter as well as their MPL on GitHub on what your thoughts are on these changes. It's good that they're changing to be immutable in the long term. So we're definitely happy about that.
Yes, for sure.
In other news for the proposal this week, we are here to talk about interfaces. So there's been a lot of different discussion about interfaces on Twitter. We did a Twitter space, I think 2 weeks ago, about interfaces and even more to talk about like what they are, what they empower other people to do on Solana, and what kind of implementations that people are kind of trying to figure out. So there is a new sRFC, it's sRFC 15 by Tolly on interfaces, and he kind of describes what the goals are for interfaces and some ideas of how to implement them. There are also, I believe it's sRFC 10 and 12 and also 3. Those are all different ones by John Sink at Labs as well as Noah at Labs for different implementations on interfaces. A lot of new different ways. Definitely join the discussion on the forum to learn more about interfaces and which implementation you think suits you best.
Yeah, I would also encourage everyone to join these discussions because I think last time when we talked about it, it was still based on like cross-program invocations, right? And the new proposal here looks way better, but it's probably also more complicated to implement. So I think we will need lots of help from everybody.
Yeah, so I think the one that by Tolly, he is describing interfaces being discoverable from like the program binary
Yes.
And then you shouldn't have to do any CPI, which is a lot different from the other implementations. It's also different that the transactions must be the same size. So these are all great for a developer experience at Lens, but it's also very hard to implement interfaces with all these constraints. If you want a short kind of like explanation of what interfaces are, so let's say that you have a token, and the token has a transfer function, and that transfer function has an amount parameter and a destination. That's just an example. Today on Solana, if you had a token and say the token program with that transfer instruction with those parameters, you could only transfer tokens or create tokens with that singular token program. What you could do instead is interfaces is that you define what that function is that everybody will implement. So that transfer, that amount to who, and then every token programs that exist can implement that transfer function and adhere to whatever the interface is for token programs in general. This kind of allows a little bit more innovation and competitive landscape within the Solana community. And also will allow less, if there's ever an issue with any of these token programs, there's a lot less of a blast radius on like a vulnerability or issue. So you'll have multiple token programs. You could have a very defined set of functions and parameters that everybody can implement. And then given whatever the implementation is of the interfaces, all you would have to do is expect these different functions and these different parameters to be able to interact with any type of token on Solana. Ethereum does this with ERC20, and they also have different interfaces for the different ERCs, like I think it was 713, 1155, etc. This would be enabling these things on Solana.
Yeah, I can't wait for me as a developer to just put in a program ID and then I call another program, because you can use it at some point for all kinds of programs, right? Not only tokens.
Yeah.
So I think this will be a great change.
Yeah, you can do it with more than just tokens. Like, for example, they do this on Ethereum for NFTs. So you'd be able to do more than one NFT program for interfaces, for sign-in tokens, all sorts of things. So it opens up a lot more innovation in the space on Solana.
Yeah, that sounds great. Let's have a look what else happened in the Solana space this week. So I found this commit here. It's a new keygen which generates zero knowledge keys now. So it's like the El Gamal curve. So they are a little bit different than the normal wallet key pair that you would have, which is the at 25519 curve. So this will probably, so there's some more zero knowledge stuff coming to Solana for sure. I also heard that the Unity SDK is also looking into zero knowledge stuff using the Light protocol, which is now also on Solana. So yeah, there's lots of zero knowledge stuff coming, I think. What's your feeling on that?
Yeah, it's really exciting to see this kind of stuff. It enables privacy on the base layer. And it's not a requirement on the L1 or the protocol to implement it, but other people, because of the way that people can build on Solana, other people can implement them and add privacy to Solana. So you have a lot of these issues in like other chains like Ethereum, where you can't do this really. And so you have additional layers on top of Ethereum that enable this, versus on Solana, you can do this by building the application on top of on Solana instead of a different layer, enabling composability with these privacy-enabled protocols in every single application on Solana, instead of having to basically bridge between the different layers. So it's cool to have on Solana. I'm looking forward to all the different innovation that happens.
Yeah, me too. It's like, it's not only for private transactions, but for example, you can now build something like a battleship game or something like this, or poker or something. So I'm very excited about that, of course. The next thing is a little change that it's a very little breaking change, maybe for some people. So the get transaction RPC call is now not returning the address lookup tables anymore if it is set to null, which is the intended behavior. But in case someone was relying on this, which Stephen Lucia says no one used it anywhere, but just wanted to mention it.
Okay, cool. So that's specifically address lookup tables within the JSON parsing on get transaction, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so just definitely check that out if you're doing that and with web3.js. Another news, there is a new compiler version of Solang. So they have 0.3.0 Venice. So Solang is a way that you can write Solidity on Solana. It's basically it compiles Solidity to, my understanding is it compiles Solidity to Rust, and it can also do this with Anchor, because I saw that it was also implemented in Anchor the other day. So what you can do is you can write Solidity smart contracts for Solana. Solang, over the past few months, has been really starting to mature. So definitely check it out. Try building a Solidity contract using Solang on Solana, and let us know how it goes. We will be personally on the DevRel side at Solana Foundation, building out docs and examples coming soon so that you can chew less glass as you write Solidity for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they say they have extensive documentation, and I looked at it a little bit. So they have a nice example here, something with zombies. So yeah, definitely check it out. I haven't checked it out yet because I don't really know how to write Solidity, but I will probably learn it to be able to teach and make a video about it. But this is really cool for like Ethereum developers or who use Solidity to like get an easy start on Solana.
Makes sense. And then what resources of the week have you seen?
There are a few, like for example, form functions is now finally going completely open source. So form functions, for the people who don't know, it's an NFT marketplace, and now they are going completely open source. And they even wrote like a bunch of documentation for anyone who wants to like work with the code. You can now just take it, build your own marketplace. They have here some documentation on how participation NFTs work, how campaigns work, designing form functions, UX, and how to build your own NFT marketplace. So it's a really nice resource.
Yeah, if anybody's interested in like how they built form function, all these resources that they wrote up really helps you understand from both how do I manage infrastructure for my applications on Solana, as well as like the different barriers that they've ran into and how they solve them. So it's really great that they wrote all this up.
And then there is, let's talk about AI. So there's a ChatGPT plugin on Solana now, right?
Yes. So I've seen this. This is a ChatGPT plugin that was built by Noah from Solana Labs. And what it kind of allows you to do is interact with ChatGPT and look up things and understand what things on the Solana blockchain. So you can say, what is this NFT at this address? And it will give you the picture of the NFT. It'll give you some information about the NFT and more. There's also things that you can do, and I think that are being built is that like you can possibly even interact and send transactions with this plugin. So it's really cool that this exists, and if you build on top of it, you can enable other integrations with ChatGPT or OpenAI to interact with the Solana blockchain. So super cool that Noah's been doing this.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, let's talk about a little bit about the successful release of 14.
Yes, so 1.14, they had a call on Monday for 100% on 1.14.17. And what's great and what makes a good release is it was a non-event. No one noticed that the release was going on. It got pushed out, and now the cluster is running on 1.14.17. If you're interested on information of like what features went into 1.14.17, you can go look at there's a blog post on Solana.com. It tells you all the different features. But this is really exciting because it kind of tells you that a lot of the testing that went into it, it made it a smooth release, and that's what you want to see.
Yeah, sometimes no news are the best news, right?
No news is the best news. And now we can celebrate for all the features that are coming out with this new version. So super excited that this has happened.
That is really nice. Like on a small note, for the Anchor developers out there, you might be running into a few problems because metadata v2 was removed from the metadata program. So I recommend you check out the release notes and maybe directly point to the master version because this is already fixed in the master. And you can do this, for example, by here in your cargo toml to directly point to the master version. There are some problems you may run into. Maybe you need to add, fix your Vino version, or maybe you need to hardcode token metadata version. But all of this should be fixed soon. Labs actually skipped the version 15, and we will directly go to 16. And it should be tagged, I think, today, right?
Yes, hopefully today. Once 16 is tagged, all these issues that Jonas is talking about will go away. They'll tag 1.16, and then that will come up with some fixes that will create a new tagged version for likely 0.28 for Anchor, fixing all these issues, and you don't have to worry about them anymore.
Yeah, super nice. Also, all the problems I mentioned right before, you can also find solutions on Solana Stack Exchange. Like I think all of them have been asked there. So just go there, search for your problem, and then you should be helped probably.
Yep. If you're ever interested in asking a question or run into any issue building on Solana, definitely ask on Solana Stack Exchange. That helps anybody looking at these issues in the future find the solution, as well as allows a group or a community to help solve it together. So thank you for joining us on this week's Changelog. We will be back next week to talk about more changes in Solana. Adios.
See you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.